Everything else is.
Well, they are now. I just recorded it. So let me start over. I'm calling the meeting to order. And we want to capture this on the recording. Due to the governor's statewide disaster declaration relating to the COVID-19 pandemic and current public health guidelines for social distancing, I have determined that it's not prudent for members of the village board or staff to convene in person for tonight's meeting. Therefore, the members of the village board are attending this meeting by video conference. Those same conditions require barring access to the public for in-person attendance. In light of those limitations, the public is invited to attend and listen to the meeting through Zoom, the Zoom platform, or by phone as indicated on the meeting agenda. To comply with the Open Meetings Act, requirements for virtual meetings tonight, the meeting tonight will be recorded. So another thing that we're going to need to do too is we're going to need to take a roll call. And during that roll call, each member of the public body needs to state if they can hear each other. You know, we're going to ask Amy to go ahead and do that. And then all motions now have to be taken via roll call, so that everyone of the public body should be identifiable to those watching or listening to the virtual meeting, and should be individually recorded in the meeting minutes. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask Amy if you could take a roll call right now to everyone that's here.
Okay, I'm doing this blind. This should be fun. All right, we're going to start with the people that I would assume would be there. Trustee Borowski.
Yes, I'm here and can hear. Thank you.
Trustee Kritzmeyer, can you hear?
Yeah, she may not be here yet. So, so that's the missing
Oh,
one.
that's
So,
right. Sorry,
yeah.
I did hear that. Trustee O'Reilly, and am I supposed to be asking them if they can hear, or are they just telling me?
They should tell you.
Oh,
That's
for
fine.
God's sakes, I can hear and I'm here.
Excuse me.
All right, Village Clerk Gayton, I'm here. Village President Jacob.
I'm here and I can hear.
Village Manager Ledspike.
Well,
Here.
he's here.
He doesn't have to hear?
Can you hear?
He can hear, but he can't
I'm
speak.
here and I'm here.
Yeah, and staff doesn't have to be included in this roll call. That would be for the executive session, but not for the open, just the board members.
Okay, excellent. All right, then we'll go to Trustee Nora.
I am here and I can hear.
Trustee O'Connor.
I'm here. Hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. And Trustee Michaud.
I am here and I can hear.
And I thought I had to do that for everybody in the room, even
Yeah, probably wasn't clear, but
participants.
we're just figuring it out as we go here. So,
So relieved. Excellent.
all right. So we're going to go ahead and do.
Could I just ask a question?
Sure.
Since this is an open meeting, should everyone be identified by name? I still see that there are a couple of people just by telephone numbers.
Well, I'll defer to Vic on that.
There's no need. The only people who will need to be identified are those who are recognized to speak, as well as the board members themselves.
Okay.
And just for the record, that was me, Vic Filippini. I should have probably done that.
And can you hear?
I can hear fine, and I'm sorry for we have a very taxed bandwidth right now, so the video really makes it everything much more difficult to manage. So.
No worries. No worries. And you didn't shave, so that's the other thing. So. All right. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag
of the United States
of
of
the United
America,
States of America,
To
to the
To
republic
the republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
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 God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for all.
all.
All right. The first item on the agenda is the homeowners associations that may or may not be here. Fairfield Village. Athena, are you here? Any chance? All right. What about Lakes of Long Grove? Jack Demies, are you here? All right. Let's move on to the second item, which is basically a public hearing. for a grant that we filed for through the, or are filing for through the Rebuild Illinois Infrastructure Grant Program. So last week we approved an we approved to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Buffalo Grove. And now we need to conduct a public hearing because we're going to be, as part of the grant, we would score higher by essentially putting some money towards it, this $3 million project. And so we're conducting the public hearing as a result. A presentation has been prepared by the grant team, and Mina Hall from the EDC has been gracious enough to present it. And I will pull that presentation up right now to get us started. And if Mina or Dave wants to say a few words while I do that, you are more than welcome to. Yeah.
This is Vic again, and this is not technically required, but rather than have any kind of potential hiccup in the process, it might be valuable to have someone move and someone else second to open the public hearing. We'll do that as a roll call vote.
Oh, great point. Yep. So go ahead. Who wants to make a motion to open the public hearing?
Borowski.
Okay, moved by Trustee Borowski, seconded by
Trustee Nora.
All right, I think Trustee O'Reilly beat you. So
Okay, no worries.
That's going to have to be a roll call.
All right, Trustee Borowski
Aye.
and Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Nora,
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor,
Aye.
and Trustee Michaud.
Aye.
5-0.
All right, can you see this? Did this go?
Yes.
Yes.
I can.
Do you see it in full screen? What do you see?
I see
Lenovo.
Peacock feathers.
peacock feathers.
All right, let me move. Can you see it now?
Nope.
No, actually, I saw it better before. There you go.
There it is.
You got it? Okay, perfect. All right.
Maybe move it over a little bit.
Sure, you want to just
to the left.
a little bit to the left. Okay. Yep. Do that because I'm cutting it off.
Yeah, just in case there was any.
How's that? Is that good?
Yep.
All
Too
right.
small. There you go.
Perfect.
That's good.
Right there.
All right, just right. Goldilocks or whatever. So
Um,
go ahead, Mina, take it away. You're going to lead this for us, right?
Sure, yes. So hi, this is Mina Hall, and I will be presenting kind of the grant application that we've worked on and have been working on for the past couple of weeks. But before I start through the actual PowerPoint, I think it might be beneficial for everyone on the call if I actually kind of read through kind of the project summary as a whole, and then we can walk through the finer points on PowerPoint if that is okay with everyone. So I'm going to put myself on, I'm stopping video so that I can do this. Okay, so basically the Village of Long Grove proposes to connect its public water system to Lake Michigan water. The project is estimated to cost $2.95 million, and with the assistance from the RIPI grant, which is the Rebuild Illinois Public Infrastructure Program, we will provide much needed protections for the community as it pertains to public safety specific to water usage by the fire district for increased reliability and capacity. B, help to preserve the Galesville aquifer for the 6-county region. And C, provide a stable water source for future economic development projects, existing businesses, and residents of Long Grove. The Lake Michigan water connection is located within the Long Grove TIF district, which was designated in 2007. Connection to Lake Michigan water will make the TIF district, which is still underdeveloped and underperforming, a more desirable location for future business development, as it will result in a reliable, environmentally friendly, and safer water supply for the TIF district and the surrounding area. The project consists of a 16-inch diameter water main connection to the Village of Buffalo Grove's water system on Arlington Heights Road, and an 8-inch diameter secondary emergency water main connection on Illinois Route 83, as shown on the project location map, which we'll go through later. Other components of the project include modifications in the water treatment plant to accept the new water flows and construction of a multi-use path over the 8-inch water main. So for some history, which I'll briefly touch here, but we'll also go through in the PowerPoint. In 2009, the Village of Long Grove built a public water system that has 2 deep wells that draw water from the Galesville Aquifer. In 2015, after recognizing limitations of the system, the village initiated preliminary discussions with Buffalo Grove to evaluate a Lake Michigan water connection. For your benefit, it's in this area, Lake Michigan water is supplied through the Northwest Water Commission, which requires that Long Grove connect to an existing member's water system. For us, Buffalo Grove is the closest NWC member. Unfortunately, it was determined that the cost to access Lake Michigan water through Buffalo Grove was 3 times the cost of the village's annual capital budget. Due to insufficient resources, the village has had no choice but to forego pursuit of the Lake Michigan water extension and continue to maintain the existing water source and treatment plant. So point number 1, so Lake Michigan water main extension will provide several benefits, including, for point number 1, improving the reliability of the system for fire protection, ensuring availability of safe water at all times. So for background, on March 16, 2020, earlier this year, the village experienced a water main break that emptied the water system in less than 30 minutes. The existing deep wells could not fill the system as quickly as the water was draining out. As a result, many suffered negative impacts because of a mandatory 48-hour boil order for public safety. The water main break could have been more catastrophic had a fire event occurred during the break. If that occurred, the village would have experienced severe consequences for firefighting purposes, as hydrants were dry and tanker trucks would have been necessary for water delivery. Reduction in water delivery could result in loss of life, potential health risks, destruction of property, and business losses due to a fire event. The grant request, for which we are hopefully submitting, requests for the water main extension provides ample volume for fighting services. Point number 2, the village's use of the 2 deep wells will be removed from service, reducing users on the mining of and preserving the Galesville Aquifer for the region. The increased usage of the water supply from the Galesville Aquifer in recent years has resulted in portions of the aquifer becoming desaturated in areas serving Will, Kane, and Kendall counties, and the resulting water quality quantity concerns. The environment will benefit from this connection as Long Grove will receive treated water. Will receive treated water ready for domestic consumption from Buffalo Grove. This eliminates the need for Long Grove to use additional chemicals to treat well water. The village's grant request for the water main extension will reduce the stress on the Galesville Aquifer regional usage, thereby limiting the risk of desaturation. And the final point, point number 3, although the deep wells are effective in providing water for domestic consumption, they also require costly maintenance for the village's budget. In 2018 and 19, the village spent approximately $200,000 to maintain the wells, replace the well pumps, and restore the well depth. In the 10 years since initial installation, approximately 10 feet of sand accumulated at the bottom of the well, which was reducing the well capacity. Since the village's capital fund budgeted revenue is $782,255, an investment of almost $3 million is not feasible, especially during declining revenues due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Although significant improvements to fire safety, public health, and business was result from a Lake Michigan water connection, the village's limited finances, further limited as the village does not levy a municipal property tax, make this water main extension unattainable without this RIPI grant funding. The village's grant request for the water main extension will make this critical and necessary infrastructure improvement a reality by helping the community connect to a stable water source for future economic development projects, currently existing businesses, and residents of Long Grove. Okay, so that was basically the project summary. And now, Bill, if you want to just go to the next slide, we can kind of walk through. So I went over briefly some of the history, but as you can see, so this part we didn't talk in my project summary was in 2008 that the village partnered with the Illinois 83 property owners, and they constructed the shared deep well water system for Sunset Grove, Executive House, Harbor Chase, and the South 15. So basically it was designed to extend public water to the historic downtown in the future. And then, and the village currently owns and operates the system. So the village studied the potential connection in 2016 for the deep wells, and that's kind of what I talked about earlier. And due to the estimated construction costs, the village stopped pursuing this avenue. And then between 2013 and 18, the village incrementally extended the public water from the Illinois 83 system through the historic downtown and in advance of the recently completed streetscape improvements. Next slide, Bill. So then, so history of the grant program. So as a result of the pandemic, the state of Illinois recently in April announced several grant programs. And the Village of Long Grove Board of Trustees identified the connection to Lake Michigan water as its highest priority and for the village to prepare a grant application. So our ad hoc grant committee consists of members of the village board, the Economic Development Commission, of which I am one, the village engineer, and various staff. And we developed this draft application that was available, that was made publicly available about 2 weeks ago per the notice requirements. So the grant program is competitive and the applications are going to be evaluated based on very specific criteria, which were outlined in the actual program booklet. And the points were going to be awarded based on a sliding scale, with the grants being awarded to the projects that scored the highest. So based on the ad hoc committee, the grant committee's analysis, we scored pretty well, hopefully, and hopefully the grant committee, the designated committee, will also agree with us. One of the specific evaluation criteria was whether the application was contributing local funds toward the project cost. If the applicant is contributing local funds, then a public hearing was necessary. So in order to maximize our points, again, because the highest points we're going to score and have greater chance of receiving these grant funds, the grant committee recommended that the Village of Long Grove contribute $10,001 toward the almost $3 million estimated project cost, which triggers this public hearing tonight. So to the benefits of, and I discussed those earlier in my project summary, but the Illinois 83 deep well water system is designed to avoid mining and protect the existing shallow well aquifer that many residents depend on. And the deep well capacity is finite, and reducing use helps to preserve this resource for Long Grove subdivisions and the regions that rely upon this deep aquifer for their water source. Lake Michigan water connection will increase the capacity for fire protection and possible expansion of public water to serve area residential properties in the future. Preserving the Village of Long Grove Lake Michigan water allocation. It reduces the operating cost to maintain and possibly reduce customer water rates, and it promotes economic development for future use. This is the letter that is, again, all of this information is available to you on the Village of Long Grove's website. So this is basically our introductory letter. I don't think anyone wants me to read this out loud. I mean, do you want me to? Basically, it's a summary of the project summary I just read to you. If everyone is okay, this is accessible to you, has been up on the website, like I said, for a couple. So we'll move on to, so the grant application, the requirements that were necessary is the grant committee recommended the $10,001 to maximize our points. So currently the amount of the funds that have been available in our Illinois 83 SSA fund balance. So as of April 30th of this year, $645,249 was available. Application for the local contribution in the amount of $10,001 of these funds is what we were hoping to request. And the project activities to be undertaken with the grant funding, including the amount. So again, the Lake Michigan water connection via connection through Buffalo Grove's water system, which is required by NWC. Again, it's a 16-inch water main connection. Will connect an intersection of Thompson Boulevard and Arlington Heights Road and connect to the existing Illinois 83 water treatment plant located at 4182 Illinois Route 83. A secondary and emergency 8-inch water connection in front of the Executive House Office Building, Buffalo Grove, extend northerly along Illinois Route 83 and connect to Long Grove's water system at the intersection of Illinois Route 53 and Illinois Route 83. So our grant funding request amount for this grant application was $2,949,585.78. We were hoping to contribute $10,001. Thereby, the entire project cost totals $2,959,586.78. Next page. All right, so plans for minimizing displacement as a result of the grant-assisted activities and to assist persons actually displaced if applicable. This is not applicable for us in this hearing at this time, since no displacement rules result from this grant-assisted activities. A detailed prioritized list of community development and housing needs, and so specifically Village Comprehensive Plan 2018, which including Chapter 7, the residential neighborhood and housing, as well as the grant application, pages 30 to 32 and 86 to 95. Again, all of those are available on the website. And then, and the final thing was a narrative discussion of the scope of the project, including the proposed improvements, costs, benefit area, impact on community finances, etc. So this was included in the project summary that I just read, which I did not read the entire thing because otherwise you would have had to listen to me for another 10 minutes, and which are pages 27 through 29. And you may be able to read that at your leisure, unless someone wants me to talk about it, but those are the 3 pages referenced of the project summary that I just read to you with a little bit more detail. Next page.
I
There
think
you
we
go.
missed something, didn't we? Skip here. We skipped through
absolutely
this.
skipped.
Yeah.
That was the project map that we were referencing earlier when I was reading my project summary, but that is the project map that is included in our grant application on page 25. And so you can see the blue parts are all of the current existing water mains, and then the orange, so it's technically red with, I think, yellow highlighter. Those are the proposed connections, as well as the little M at the bottom right there where he's hovering was the proposed meter vault with SCADA.
Okay.
So I think we are available for comments or questions, and we can dive deeper into any questions that you may have or any points that you need to discuss or we can address for anyone.
Yeah, so as it states here, if you can see it, please state your name and address for the record for any comments that you may have regarding this grant application. Or not make any comments. Mina, you may have done such a good job.
Nicely done, Mina.
Thank you, Chuck.
Can I make a question?
Yes, you may, George.
Yeah, my name is George Yeager, and I'm a Buffalo Grove resident now, previously a Long Grove resident. And I appreciate all the good work that was done here in this grant application. And maybe this question is more appropriate for the intergovernmental agreement. The Village of Buffalo Grove has a very robust public works department. And this public works department they have, would they be responsible for the Long Grove water pipes, so that if a water line broke within the Village of Long Grove, they would be responsible for the repair and could take care of that quickly?
Bill, this is Vic. Would you like me to at least offer a preliminary response to that?
Yeah, I believe I know the answer to that. We are.
Yeah. At this point, we don't have the intergovernmental agreement regarding those issues in place. It's not uncommon, however, that the point of village ownership is where the village would take over. The village in Buffalo Grove certainly could enter into an agreement for maintenance. There's no such agreement currently in place, but that doesn't preclude it in the future.
Good. It's just a suggestion for the future. You know, ongoing maintenance is always kind of a stepchild and not thought of primarily, and because you want the infrastructure. And but as time goes on, maintaining the infrastructure is always a concern.
Yeah, thanks, George, for your comments. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
I got
I got here late. It was a very nice application. Sorry, I missed your full presentation, Mina. I already shared one thing, and that was just there's one little bit where it says nobody's going to be inconvenienced, and I'm quite sure that my driveway is going to be inconvenienced as well as about half a dozen of us here. But
We're looking forward to seeing Jerry at the meeting. So just so you know. Hey, so do we need to mention that Trustee Kritzmeyer has joined the meeting, that we can see her and hear her, Vic, for protocol purposes?
And more importantly, that she can hear us.
I can hear you.
I think that the record can now note that sometime before 7:24, Trustee Kritzmeyer joined the call, and she is both present and able to hear and be heard.
Thank you.
I've been on for 4 minutes according to my phone. So
Okay, 7:20.
Thank you. That's what I was going to ask. For the record.
For the record. Perfect. All right. Any other comments from the board before we end the public hearing?
I have two minor questions. One is, why the $1?
It was a difference of about 2 points by adding the $1 extra.
I knew there must be a reason. And the second thing is, does Buffalo Grove still get their water from Evanston?
I will punt to Jeff.
Yeah, yes, they do.
Okay.
I had further questions on the intergovernmental agreement, which that's not the grant, which is, I know the current Buffalo Grove water bills are not only in water rate, but they also have extra charges to pay for Buffalo Grove's infrastructure. And when we get to that point, I'd like to be real clear on what our residents may face, or what the water users may face.
Yeah, and I think that'll all come once we, if we get the grant and we enter into a formal agreement, right? Yeah. Anybody else?
Did Buffalo Grove pass the IGA last night? Anybody know?
Yeah, Dave, I texted you that too. I forgot to ask you once.
Dave said yes, they
You
did.
Yes, they approved it unanimously last night.
Okay.
One more question, and we may not know this answer yet. If this all happens, will we be required to maintain like a 1 or 2 day storage of water?
Jeff, or?
Am I okay, I'm not on mute. So the idea of this connection and the reason that it's sized for a 16-inch pipe is to keep the reservoir full in the event of firefighting operations.
Yeah, but the reason that I asked specifically about, never mind, this is for a later time.
Have we been able to determine if this becomes a more than a hypothetical possibility, what the initial number of properties is that would benefit from this?
Somebody's got that right, Jeff? It's going to be everyone on the system today. I don't know what that is.
Just from the businesses alone, I think there were 48 businesses plus another, 50. So I think there were 68. I mean, I'm doing this from memory. Let me see if I can find it. Currently, plus the Long Grove resident, plus the Harbor Chase residents. Let me find that. Unless someone has it faster than I do.
Yeah, so right now there are 65 water connections.
There you go.
That's in the downtown.
That's downtown, Sunset, and Harbor Chase.
And how many of those are actually paying? How many are actually hooked up and paying money every month?
All of the connections get a quarterly bill regardless of use. And the quarterly bills just were mailed out earlier this month.
Except for the fire department, right? We don't charge them?
They are not connected.
They're not connected?
No, they are not.
Oh, okay. I guess what I'm asking is, of the 65 connections, I know bills are sent out quarterly. We had at one point in time talked about a minimum bill every month, and I don't think we followed through or pursued that. I'm of the 65 connections, are those 65 potential connections, or do we have 65 possible connections and 65 entities paying each quarter? I'm just curious.
So the minimum.
Four
Oh, sorry,
sites
Dave.
the 4 sites are completing their connections this week, I believe. Once they are connected, I want to say that there are 3 buildings that have not connected, 2 of which are owned by Terry Upton. And in my calls with Terry, he's got everything set up and is pushing his contractor to get the connection as soon as possible.
And who's the third one is?
Baby and more.
Yeah. Okay. I suppose no communications from him.
I've had conversations with him as well. His plan was to have his building connected by the end of the month.
Thank you.
And Rita, this is Jeff. The first part of your question, the minimum quarterly bill is $100.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, Chris has a comment question. So in the summary, we spent a lot of time focusing on improving the fire protection capability, but it seems like our fire department's not connected to the water system. Does that seem a little bit of a conflict in a sense? I get it, there's water coming through the fire hydrants, I get that. But where does the fire department get their water from today? Where do they fill their tankers?
The fire department.
Hydrants.
No, go ahead, Walt.
Hey, Walt, yep, go ahead.
We're using the hydrants, the water system, to fill tankers. The building itself is still on a private well.
Oh, I see. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
So does the other fire district use this water system, our current water system, to fill their tankers?
No, the other fire, the countryside, they're up on I'm sure they're up on the private well. No, I mean the public Lake County well system that we're a part of up there, because they're right down the road from me. I don't know. Do you know, Walt, by any chance?
If I can,
suspect they're using Hawthorne Woods or Vernon Hills water system.
And Bobby, I don't know if this is where you were going with the question, but if the question is if there is a large event and there are other fire departments supporting our Long Grove fire, do they use our system? And the answer is yes.
I just think it's so bizarre that we've got this wonderful system for fire suppression and putting out fires, and our fire district doesn't it doesn't connect to it. It just seems very odd.
Above my pay grade.
Yep, something to take up. That's maybe not exactly pertinent to what we're talking about tonight, but something we should talk about.
It's another little nugget of information.
Right. Any other comments or?
What I do, Vic, maybe you could answer this. In an ultimate intergovernmental agreement, is there any way to limit our vulnerability to add-on taxes and or what some might consider exorbitant water rates through, I mean, we're kind of at the mercy of Buffalo Grove. And I read in the packet that, well, it wouldn't be any more than what other entities are charged. but you know, it depends on whose ox is getting gored. Is there a way to limit that vulnerability to what the charges could be in the future?
Well, the agreement itself will set up a payment structure for the water, but I don't think it would be likely that Buffalo Grove would or even could say it'll be X dollars and it won't exceed more than some percentage per year as an increase. And the reason why I say that is that ultimately the Northwest Water Commission agreement with Evanston is going to be expiring. Evanston has taken on a new and currently under challenge approach for imposing water rates. And my expectation is that Evanston will try to do that with the Northwest Water Commission, and that the Northwest Water Commission may also balk at that. So whether they do or not is to be seen, but if they are going to see a substantial increase from Evanston, then that will be passed on to Buffalo Grove and therefore passed on to the village. I think that we can certainly have backstops in the intergovernmental agreement, but I don't think it would be realistic to expect a dollar figure that would be in any way guaranteed. It would really be linked to the amounts that Buffalo Grove and the Northwest Water Commission are paying.
The last time that we discussed this, I asked the question of when we know more is what is the drop dead date that we can get out of this? If it proves to be a lot more expensive than what we're anticipating, when would that be, and will it give us ample time before having to make any other commitments?
Well, we're going to have to bid out the project, and you're going to have to decide whether to approve whatever that bid is. And if it is too rich for the village's blood, then the village doesn't award the bid, and we would be foregoing the grant as a result of that. There may be some costs to get to that point, but you know, it would be no different than other projects that we have you know, conceived of, designed, and bid, and then decided to forego. So I think
well,
that's
I think it is a little different in that at some point we're accepting this grant, assuming we get it. Is there a time that we can turn it down before we've spent any additional funds?
So long as we return any grant funds, and I haven't seen the final grant agreement, so I'm going to just offer an answer based on most every other grant agreement I've ever seen. So long as we return the funds, we have no further obligation. So if we just decide not to do anything, that's the end point of our cost. So really our decision point for whether we go forward is when we have to make the award of the bid for the actual project undertaking.
So the deal tonight is to say yay or nay in order to submit a grant. If the grant is approved, then we have uber opportunity to do due diligence. Would that be
no, all we're doing tonight is approving spending $10,001, right?
If the grant is approved, yeah.
If the grant is approved, that is it. That's all we're doing.
Right, I understand. Okay, thank you.
So we've been, I believe Lake County requires the people to cap their private wells when they connect to our public deep well. Are we gonna have to do something similar? And if we have to basically render our deep well non-usable, there's no return. Just something to keep in mind.
I'm not sure, and I'll defer to Jeff, but I believe that it's often allowed, subject to significant restriction, to have the deep well preserved as an ultimate backup source in the event that there's some kind of upset with the connection with Buffalo Grove. I don't know what the cost effectiveness of that is, but I'm going to stop talking and let Jeff chime in.
Yeah, Vic, this is Jeff. You're correct that there's certain requirements and things you need to meet to keep the wells as an emergency, on an emergency basis. The village of Buffalo Grove actually has a couple wells that they do that exact same thing.
So then we have double expense theoretically.
Oh,
correct?
Well, do we need a water operator at that point, Jeff? I mean, can't we leave it dormant? How does that work?
So you still need a water operator because the village will still be in charge of distributing water into their system. However, the requirements are much less if under Lake Michigan water versus treating well water. Chemical use will go down. The number of times that the water operator has to, take readings and visit the plant are less frequent than daily. So those costs would go down with a Lake Michigan water connection as well.
But would we incur cost leaving the pumps just sitting there idle, or, without capping it?
You'll run them periodically. Just to fire them up, make sure they still work, much like something similar, obviously on a much smaller scale, like you do your own home and your sump pump, your battery backup. You want to cycle that to make sure it's still usable when and if you need it.
Would it be reasonable to say that the pumps would have? I'm sorry. Would it be reasonable to say that the pumps would then have an extended useful life, though, if we maintained them that way? We
Correct.
think their current life is 10 years, and, keeping them properly cycled and stuff, but not using them daily in the same way would keep them longer than 10 years?
Correct. Yeah. The rigors of the use go down, life goes up.
So there are some communities in this country that do not insist that private wells be capped when public water is mandated. And therefore, a lot of people water their lawns, wash their cars, blah, 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 with the, shall we say, less potable water or the cheaper water.
Are we still open to public comment?
Yeah, we're still in public comment too, but Roger, if you could hold that thought and let Rita finish hers, and then we'll let you comment. Yep.
So if anybody listening has had experience with that, is something like that feasible, where there are two separate connections that go to a property? How can that work out financially? Is it feasible? Is it stupid? Anybody have any info on how it works practically?
Rita, this is Dave.
Yeah.
We have that arrangement with Heron's Landing. They have Lake Michigan water through Lake County.
Yes.
They did it as Lake County agreed to that as an accommodation to Heron's Landing. To do that, they have to keep the systems completely separated. There cannot be any connection between them. It required a lot of work on everybody's part to make it happen, but so it has been done. I think from the village's perspective, knowing the cost of our system and to operate it, that's obviously always a village board policy decision, but I think our goal would be to try to have as much water usage as possible.
I would say, didn't we not turn that down for the fountain at Fountain Square? Isn't that the exact argument?
That's correct.
We did. But it would be, I think it would be extremely inappropriate to offer it now after everyone else has hooked up and didn't have that opportunity, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Roger, you had a comment. You wanted to make a comment, Roger?
two things. Thank you.
So Roger Goebel, right? EDC chair.
Roger
right?
Goebel, I can hear everybody. Thank you very much. I know at least 4 people in Arlington Heights in parts that were annexed late into the village who have dual water systems and have had for years. So I know it's not that. But my real point is that as we worry about the money we might spend right now, I think the people who've been in the area as long as Trustee O'Reilly can think back to the times when we had literal droughts, when people were going around yelling at the people at the country club because they were using water and people's wells were being dried out around here. I would like to see a water system for everybody that's a lot more reliable than private wells, much as I like not having to pay a water bill.
Thank you, Roger, for your comments. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, I would be looking for a motion, a roll call motion to close the village budgets or the public hearing. It's not a village public.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee O'Connor. Seconded by Trustee O'Reilly. It's a roll call to close the village budgets public hearing. Amy, you want to take that? Amy, you there? All right. You're not there, Amy. Okay, so let's. We can't hear you if you are. You're not muted. I can tell you that right now. So
okay.
Let me go.
Yeah,
do that.
I had a call coming in and I couldn't. Yeah, I'm back. All right.
So it was moved by Trustee
Trustee
O'Connor and seconded by Trustee O'Reilly.
Yep.
To close the village budgets public hearing. Just want to make sure you heard that.
Yep. Thank you. Trustee Michaud?
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Nora?
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly?
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer?
Aye.
And Trustee Borowski?
Aye.
Okay.
Excellent.
The meeting has been officially closed. So now we're going to move to the next section, which is basically a resolution committing local funds to rebuild Illinois infrastructure grant application. So you have in your board packet the actual resolution to commit the $10,001. I don't know if anyone wants to discuss it. If not, I would be looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Moved by
Second.
Trustee O'Reilly, seconded by Trustee Kritzmeyer. That's a roll call.
Trustee Borowski?
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer?
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly?
Aye.
Trustee Nora?
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
And Trustee Michaud?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the report of the Economic Development Commission from the meeting that happened this morning. So I don't know who wants to start it out or lead it, if that's Jenny, if that's you, or Roger. So
Roger, do you want me to do this or would you like to? I'll go ahead. So I thought it was a great meeting. Nina uploaded all of the responses from the businesses to the Google Drive, which she sent out to all of you. So if you have a chance or if you haven't yet, to take a look at it. Rob and Mike are working on a list of businesses to potentially pursue. But one of the things that they're hitting before they go too far down this is trying to do like a flow chart on what to do once these businesses express an interest. Who do they hand it off to? How do we put them in touch with the right people? So they were going to talk to Dave about kind of getting this set up. They're talking about setting up, as they call it, centers of influence. So with the Lake County Partners and the Restaurant Association, I know Mina and Mike were going to go to the Lake County Partners, and Pam and Roger are talking about joining the restaurant group. They're looking for trustees to also join in on that. So I'm happy to take on one or both if I need to, but if somebody else might be interested in becoming part of that group, that would be great. The big thing today we were hoping that Eric from the Weiss development of the CFI was going to come, but he didn't make it. So we're hoping to have that in 2 weeks. And they're going to have Metro Strategies narrow down the grant selection to just pathways and 100% funded grants and see what we come back with. And I think that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Thanks, Jenny. Roger, do you have anything you wanted to add to that, or? I'll give you the floor if you want.
I had trouble unmuting. I'm sorry. No, Jenny did a very nice job of summarizing what went on. We're all trying to keep working at what our job is.
No, you guys did a nice job today. Thank you.
Yeah, and they're also going to be putting together a work list for the year. I think that's just kind of formalizing what they're working on to get to us.
So Jenny, I might have like glanced over it or didn't hear it, but I think there was a third Center of Excellence that Irwin, did you mention that one?
Oh, I didn't. Thank you. Yeah, Irwin wants to reach out to banks and lawyers in the area, which we thought, and I think, was it Irwin and Roger?
Rob.
And Rob, okay. Thank you, Mina.
Of course.
End of report.
Can I ask a question? Eric, the fellow with CF Industries, has anybody looked up what projects they have done?
I actually have. They've done some kind of neat things. I'm trying to remember where I found it. Did Mike Sarletto might have sent something out on some of the other projects they've done. But if I can track down that document, I'll send it out to you, Bobby.
Yeah, I'd really like to see it. See what they've done. They sound great.
Yeah, I think what Mike was saying is that they really want to try to fit in with what's happening in the community. They're not pushing to rezone. They want to work with the community. They want to reach out and kind of find out what people in the community are looking for. And I think they've kind of done that in the past. And they have kind of an interesting mix. They're not trying to compete with Kemper. They're trying to bring in kind of maybe a little bit people that can't afford that much, but have kind of, I guess, incubator businesses maybe. So I'll track down that link for you.
I just pulled it up online, Bobby and Jenny. They've got the Wi-Fi professional building in Skokie, the Fairway Executive Building in Skokie, the Skokie Tech Center, obviously in Skokie, the Pinnacle at Park Ridge, Wi-Fi Corporate Square in Wheeling, and the Reserve at Salem Lake with a fabulous picture of the building. Does that help?
Yeah, okay. And let me just take this opportunity. Mina, you know, I don't know how the village says thank you to you for all the work that you put in on this project.
I absolutely agree. I second, third, and fourth it. Thank you so much, Mina. You've done a real super job for us.
Oh, it's totally my pleasure. Glad I can help. Thank you.
It's really wonderful what you've done, and we're very thankful.
This is the second grant that you've worked on, by the way. So
thank you. No, I'm glad I could help.
Thank you.
I hope you feel like you're getting things checked off now, Mina.
If we win these awards, for sure, I will feel very.
I think we'll owe you at least a bottle of wine.
Or a couple. Thank you.
Go. Yes. Yeah. Okay. We'll up it to champagne. How's that?
All right. So if there's no more comments, we're going to move to the next item on the agenda to keep us moving. And that is the special event application for Newman Cigars. They always do the Special Olympics every year. And you have a special event application in your board packet. It's for the September 30th or the 20th. I chose to put this before the board because it's a little bit out there, and don't know if anyone has any questions, or if not, I would be looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve cigars and more special event application.
Moved by
Can I make?
Go ahead.
I'll second, but can I make one comment? Because I was going to try to join the Buffalo Grove meeting last night, and they have a consent agenda. I think this is the fourth time I've looked at one of these. I would love to, in the future, get a consent agenda for this kind of item.
Okay.
You know, we've talked about that in the past, and it just never happens, and it makes so much sense.
Well, the comment question I had was the form again. You know, I think we've talked in the past about having that form a little bit more detailed in terms of the charity, the 501c3 number, registration number, percentage of proceeds expected to go to the charity, those basic things. And if those are filled out in their completeness, then I would agree with moving that more towards a consent type item would be appropriate.
Fair point.
Okay, we have it was moved by Trustee O'Reilly, seconded by Trustee Kritzmeyer. That's a roll call motion.
Trustee Borowski?
Yes.
Trustee O'Reilly?
Aye.
Oh, okay. Trustee Kritzmeyer?
Aye.
Trustee Nora?
Chuck, are you there? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had trouble. Aye.
Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Michaud?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
All right.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is to update our sexual harassment policy, right? And I don't know if Vic or Dave want to add any commentary on this. It's something we need to do to make our policy in compliance with the current Illinois state law. Is there anything that we're missing or should be discussed here?
This is Vic. The changes in the state law don't have a real material change in what has been our policy from, I can't remember how many years back. There have been a couple of changes statutorily. We've made the tweaks that have been required in the past. This is really doing much the same. There are some additional regulations that the most recent enactment has imposed. It doesn't change the policy, but it does affect governmental bodies and others as far as what must be reported in the event that there are ever actual adjudications regarding instances of sexual harassment. That doesn't affect the policy, just the implementation.
Are there any questions?
I had two comments or questions on the actual policy.
Please.
Number one is under area 3, where it says the harassed person should directly and clearly express their objection. I think there's better wording, and I couldn't find it. I wouldn't show, but that it's nowhere in there is there's not a good out if the person harassing is a direct supervisor and somebody would feel in some way unwilling to report in that way. And there's got to be a better model of it. I guess we have to pass something, but I really would like to see that returned. I don't think that wording is what we want. I think we need to have that opportunity. And the other question is, I couldn't find anywhere in here, do we have some level of an annual report? I see that we're supposed to provide annual training. Where is that reported to us? Where is that reported to the public that occurs?
Hey, Vic, can you help us with the first question?
Yes, we can certainly revisit that language. Much of this language is coming out of the regulations that the Illinois Department of Human Rights has developed. And so we've tried to stay true to what they have suggested. I believe, and I'm fumbling a little bit in finding it, but I believe that it does say the report can be made to the supervisor or the village manager or village president. But as I said, I'm fumbling and trying to find that exact passage. So it's not a situation where there's no recourse other than in the instance that you've offered as an example, the actual harasser.
I guess I would be willing to work with you on that, Vic. I know you may have there, but it says it must be promptly reported to the immediate supervisor or the village manager or the chief. There's a level of, and there's a whole lot of other stuff around there where people feel unwilling, and that this kind of wording, I think, puts a little bit of an obstacle in there when it says must be promptly reported.
I don't at all disagree with you, and I suppose one of the things that we can do is we can include that language and then add something else that might offer alternative points of access to grievances.
And I'd be willing to work on that.
Yeah.
I can't just drop a problem and then say somebody else fix it on this one. So.
What about the reporting?
I'll come up with something and share it with you.
What
Okay,
about
and
the reporting, right? The annual reporting?
Yeah, that was my second question.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, you there?
Yes, I am.
Can you answer that question? How do you handle that? Do you do any kind of report annually or submit a report or?
I understood that was a new requirement with this change in legislation, but we have not been requiring annual training on this.
Yeah, that is a new requirement, and it's probably something that we're going to need to develop a few practices to ensure that everybody's complying with the new requirements.
So are we?
Yeah, I guess I would
ahead.
like. Yeah, we should. I would like to see built in some sort of reporting who attended, when it was held, and then that comes back to the board and is made available.
So any objections if we, unless other people had comments, if we don't pass this tonight and we look to see some revised language, and Trustee Kritzmeyer will work with Vic and Dave to come up with that language. Any objections, or do you want to talk about it more?
Let's see it again next time.
All right. Do we have an answer? Is that, I guess silence means we have an answer. All right. If there's no objections, I'm going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is consideration of an ordinance approving the Alternative Energy System AES regulations. Now, at the last board meeting, I broke the tie. We didn't probably get the exact resolution that we wanted, so it'll probably be worked on as we go along. But we basically requested that legal counsel draft a resolution, and so now we have that before us. That was changed to take out the ground-mounted solar. I think there were some other changes in there too, Vic, regarding reporting of usage and so forth, right, that were taken out. So you have that before you. I don't know if you want to discuss it or if somebody wants to make a motion. I know that it was divided on the last one, so I guess we'll have to see where this ends up. So I'll stop there.
I would like to make a motion approving the ordinance amending the Long Grove zoning code regarding alternative energy systems.
Second.
Moved by Trustee O'Reilly, seconded by Trustee Nora.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Can someone refresh my memory? Do we include like portable landscape lights or anything like that in any of this discussion? Is that allowed or not allowed, or where are we at with landscape lighting? You know, the little plug-in things with the solar panels right on them that technically would be ground mounted, right?
Hey, Vic, you know, it's funny because we don't touch on it, right? But you know, when you read this thing, does it cover it, right? We shouldn't have to worry about that, but.
Theoretically, I would presume that those might be viewed as
ground-mounted solar systems.
As ground-mounted
right.
systems. Right. The one thing where I would say it wouldn't actually apply, however, is that the point of a solar energy system is to provide energy to the principal use of the property. And when we're talking about the, sorry for the dog yapping in the back. When we talk about the little landscape lighting, they're not providing energy to the principal use. They are providing it only for that individualized light facility. So I don't think that it really falls within the concept of a solar energy system. I think it would simply be a generic accessory use and one that would be authorized without impact from this regulation.
Chris, did that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks for that clarity.
What about the ground mounted solar apparatus that Joe Barry had?
Well, those would be grandfathered in, right, Vic? So anything that's there?
Correct. Anything that's already there, this ordinance doesn't change. But because it won't be allowed anymore, they would be addressed going forward under our non-conforming use and structure regulations.
Hey, to that point, there was a bunch of language in here that was left in. Is that why it was left in?
Those ground-mounted devices that Joe had, and they're now living in Hawaii, so the grandfathering is irrelevant, except maybe the new owner left them. But they were minuscule. They were nobody could see them. They were, you know, they even looked decorative actually. So if I had those, I would have to get a special use permit. Is that how this would work?
No, when something is a legal nonconformity, it just can stay without any impact at all. The only times that there would be a need to seek any kind of village authorization is if you were going to be doing a wholesale replacement or something. Repairs would be allowed. Again, we have fairly detailed regulations on what can and cannot be done with non-conforming uses, and you know, if they want, I believe our threshold is 50%. Replacement would be something that would not be allowed, but if it were a smaller, you know, repair of the system that involved replacement of various panels, that would be authorized.
Okay.
So we've got
Bill, you had asked a question. I'm sorry, I wasn't quite sure what language you
Well, I
were.
thought there was some stuff that was left in, even though we removed ground mounted, it was pulled out. I thought there were still some regulations that impacted.
There are still regulations impacting solar energy systems, but if you look at subpart 7, and I can scroll up and tell you what letter that B7.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
It just simply says they're not allowed.
Ground mounted SESs are prohibited use in all zoning districts within the village, right? Yeah. Okay, but then I think if you go further, there's some stuff in here. I thought that was still related to it. Because I mean, you had stuff like, well, maybe it's under decommissioning. So I'm just looking.
And the decommissioning theoretically could apply to the non-conforming ground mounted that would be resulting from this ordinance.
Yeah, I think that under decommissioning section 9, you got some interesting things there, like even indemnification, fees and costs. It's, or no, that's its own, standing on its own, right? It's a new section. Okay, got it. All right, I'm good. All right, so we have a live motion out there. It was moved by Trustee O'Reilly, seconded by Trustee Nora. That's a roll call.
Trustee Michaud?
No.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
No.
No. Okay. Trustee O'Connor?
Nay.
Trustee Nora?
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly?
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer?
No.
And Trustee Borowski?
Aye.
Okay, so we have a tie, and I will break the tie, so I'm an aye. Motion
All right,
carried.
you are an aye. Okay.
An eye for an eye. There you go. So now I have a report, and I don't know if anyone else does. We do have time. We have a volunteer that's come forward and wants to join the Architectural Commission. His name is Matt Akins. And he was interviewed by the village planner, Jim Hogue, and then also by Lynn Michelson-Cohn. And you have before his application. He's new, relatively new to the village, moved in here 3 years ago. And we believe he has a skill set, plus he'll bring, you know, some youth perhaps to the commission and bring a new perspective to Long Grove. And so I'm looking to appoint him, and that's what you have before you.
You need a motion?
Is this also a roll call?
It is a roll call motion, correct? Yep. Oh,
I thought it looked very enthusiastic. Thank you for interviewing all of you who did.
Yeah, no, he sounds very excited about it, and it's a great thing, and we need some fresh perspective. Yep.
I would make a motion to approve Matthew Akins for the what board?
The Architectural Commission as a commissioner. Yep.
Okay. There's somebody on here showing Laura Akins. Is that him? Would he like to meet?
Yeah, that's actually me.
Hey, Matt, do you have anything to say?
I think I'm pretty excited about being able to join the Architectural Committee. I've always had kind of a love of real estate and how things look and how they fit within the surroundings. I've kind of dedicated my career to real estate. I do a lot of number stuff, but I still have a love for just how things are built and how they look. And, it's just so interesting to me that I'm very excited to be a part of it.
Well, we appreciate you volunteering.
Thank you.
All right, so it was moved by Trustee O'Reilly and seconded by, was it Trustee Nora? Did I get that?
Yes.
That's a roll call?
May I make a comment? May I interject?
Sure.
A comment here? I have been in Architectural Control Committee meetings, and I have heard it said at those meetings that it is not up to them to dictate taste and or design. That may not be what Mr. Akins is looking for. Can we get clarification and or who's going to chat about what the responsibilities and or job of somebody on that committee is?
I'm sorry, I'm not following you, Rita. So
and I have been at the architectural meetings regarding things other than signs on front of shops. I have heard from the members and the chairperson of that committee state that it is not their job to dictate design or taste. And it has always been my impression that that's precisely what their job is. So maybe I'm the one who's confused, but I'm just curious with who or how new members learn what the role is.
That's a great question. They're going to learn obviously from the existing commissioners, right? And Village Planner Jim Hogue. Dave,
I started with the village on the Architectural Committee, and I think it's a great jumping off spot. And you get thrown into the deep end, but it'll be fine. I thought Matthew's credentials were great. I'm not concerned.
No, but I don't know if it was about Matt. It was more just in general, right? So,
yes, correct.
Well, this is Vic. We do have in our village code standards under which the architectural committee is supposed to be evaluating those applications that come before it. I suppose one could say that those standards do in fact govern design and taste. On the other hand, one could easily say they don't either. I mean, all of those designs still have some, some parameters that are objectively applied to them, and that's what those standards are. I think much like any kind of committee, there is good judgment that you're looking for, and that's why you want to be vetting the members of those different committees, and that would be my suggestion. We hope that they will follow the standards, but everybody has their own lens when they apply those standards to any particular application.
All right, shall I roll?
Yep, absolutely. So again, it was a roll call motion. It was moved by Trustee O'Reilly, seconded by Trustee Nora.
Trustee Borowski?
Yes.
Trustee Kritzmeyer?
Yes.
Trustee O'Reilly?
Yes.
Trustee Nora?
Yes.
Trustee O'Connor?
Yes, I still like an answer to the question.
She said yes, but we didn't answer your question.
Are there any rubrics written anywhere?
I can't hear you, Rita.
I can't hear either.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, you sound like you suddenly got muffled, like you're.
You sound like the teacher on Charlie Brown.
Oh, my goodness, my goodness. Maybe that's a good thing. Is that better?
That's yes. Much better.
I had trouble with my earpods, sorry. I'm just wondering about, is there anything written anywhere that would help a new member understand what the duties, responsibilities, parameters are or are not?
Oh, I think Vic answered it. What we need to do is get him a copy of probably the resolution establishing the Architectural Commission, because it'll have all that stuff in there. Right, Vic?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have provisions in the village code that do set both the duties of the Architectural Committee as well as the standards that they're supposed to be applying.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So Dave, do we have that handy, or maybe Village Planner Jim Holt can get it to him?
Yeah, we can include it with the on-board letter.
Okay.
Welcome to the commission.
Excellent.
Can you share that with the rest of us too, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for stepping up.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. So
Sure.
Rita was a yes, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. We couldn't hear you. So.
Sorry.
Amy, yes.
And Trustee Michelle, thank you.
All right. So, motion carried. Welcome, Matt. You're on the commission.
Thank you very much. I look forward to doing everything I can.
And we appreciate you volunteering, so thank you. All right, moving right along. Approval. Oh, wait a minute. Are there any other trustee reports? Does anyone have anything they want to report?
Just a quickie. I sent everybody the new look of the e-newsletter.
I love it. I love it.
All have gotten it.
Yep.
Look nice.
Yeah, it's kind of clean and crisp, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you, Bobby. It looks good.
Yeah, I didn't have
Bill.
a chance to
I'm
comment.
sorry,
Thank you. No, go ahead, Chris.
Just for a moment on SWALCO, there was a SWALCO meeting last week, and basically, just let me run through a couple bullet points, okay? I think they're self-explanatory. Renewal of the contract for household chemical waste, nothing really revolutionary there. Financial results and bill payment, typical stuff. Re-elected 4 members to the executive board, 4 seated members were basically re-elected. SWALCO is going to go ahead and hire an attorney to go ahead and pursue the recapture of some of the sharing fees that are being paid to the landfills from the operators, from the waste managements of the world. They think that they're not getting paid their proper share of that sharing fee, and they have gone ahead and they're going to hire an attorney to go ahead and pursue that recapture of those fees. Pharmaceutical collections overall continue to be very strong at the police departments. They estimate that In the first quarter, we took off about $750,000 of opioids were collected and taken off the street as a result of that. Textiles continue to be a real big problem in terms of landfill, and everything we can do to get more textiles into the recycling programs versus the landfills is really greatly appreciated. So as we contemplate redoing Stemple, we might want to consider putting a textile collection bin into the parking lot or somewhere within the downtown area. It's something that SWACO highly encourages. Carpet recycling legislation is being discussed with Springfield. Currently, right now, most carpet's getting landfilled. Some are recyclable for the fibers, and they're working with Springfield to try to figure out a way to do that. Probably one of the last things, a couple last things. So recycling values continue to drop. Paper jumped up a little bit during the COVID because of the use of paper in, like, let's say toilet paper as an example. But overall, the prices on the recyclables that are being paid continue to drop. Aluminum cans down to 17 cents a pound. Starting to become kind of an issue because at some point the cost of the recycling and the collection outweighs the gain in the recycling of these materials. But obviously there's an environmental impact to all that. But at some point, if you can't sell them, you end up collecting recyclables that you can't sell. So SWACO is very concerned about that trend as the global prices for the recyclables continues to drop. And just very last briefly, again, SWACO is very focused on food scrap recycling and looking for opportunities to implement more of that throughout all of the municipalities. An example there would be the spent grain coming out of the brewery, something like that. So anyway, that was kind of the highlights of the meeting. We haven't had a meeting all quarter, and it was the first virtual meeting, so I just thought I'd take a minute to update everybody on the topics.
Hey,
Any
Chris,
questions, please let me know.
Yeah, if we put a bin in the parking lot, what would that cost us? I mean,
basically nothing. It's a revenue source for us.
Oh, really? We would get money by putting that bin there.
Yeah, we would get a percentage of the fees that they collect for when they sell, if you will, the textiles. I mean, it's not a lot. It's like a couple cents or 3 cents a pound or something like that. It's not a lot at all, but it doesn't cost us anything to do that. I mean, there are some concerns about people dumping, but
Yep.
So far they really haven't had any issues across the county with that issue. Usually the service provider's pretty prompt to pick things up. They have closed some of the bins during COVID, obviously, and some of those are coming back online right now. But yeah, it doesn't cost us anything to really do that.
Is that something that you or Dave could investigate, the type of container and how much it would cost, so that we could potentially consider that for the upcoming meeting?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I think I've got pictures of them. I can send some pictures out and everybody can take a look at them. I mean, think about the Goodwill bins from days gone by. That's essentially it.
Is that what it looks like? Okay, got it.
Pretty much, it's yellow, but I mean, it could be any color really. It doesn't matter. But yeah, we'll get some pictures and take a look at that for sure.
Awesome.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions for Chris?
No, I think that would be great if we had a bin. I drive over to Best Buy and recycle textiles there. So if you want to see one, there's one in the Best Buy parking lot.
Which Best Buy? The one in
right in
Deer Park?
Yeah, Deer Park.
Deer Park, okay, got it. Any other trustee reports? All right, Chris, thanks for that report. Let's move to the approval of the board meeting minutes. I think we just have the May 26 ones where we have Vic's edits. We didn't approve them at the last meeting. Is that correct, Amy?
You should have also from the last meeting and the exec from that one. The only one I don't have yet is the solo exec meeting. The only one that's outstanding.
So maybe I'm missing it. Do we have the June 9th minutes up here?
I did not have them, so they're not included. I may have missed them somewhere, but they are not in your board packet.
Okay, what about the executive meeting minutes? I didn't see those either. Are those there too?
They were in the same email, which I sent Friday morning. I will take a look and I will resend if you do not have them.
So what we do have, though, is the May 26th meeting minutes that were amended by Vic, right? And it kind of looks like, well, you can't see it with the background, but it's got its blue line on it.
I'm curious as to my being absent.
You can the executive session, there was some confusion on the start time at 6 o'clock, right? So did we get that right? Let's look at that. Let's make sure we got it right.
Okay, because if it started before I got there, which I'm not sure it did, but then somewhere I have to come in because I'm there. So the way it's presented, I'm not there.
No, I think that, hold on a second. I'm looking at Vic's notes, right? Yeah.
Since I was not at that exec meeting, I basically just put the framework in and I didn't know any details. So it would be okay.
Yeah, if I can jump in, if you look at my changes, the markup that's in the packet, it shows, Bobby, that you arrived at 6:04. Chris was also a couple minutes late, but the motion that went into the executive session was a 4-0 vote because we had started it just before your and Chris's arrival.
Okay, then where is the attendance for the meeting?
It's the same. It's all one meeting. If you follow it, it's called to order at 6. You have to look at the markup that's in the packet.
You know what? Let me see if I can present my desktop because I think this might make it easier. Let's see if I can share the screen.
Well, it points out something that's always bothered me, and that is that we never see the corrected copy of the minutes. So I have no idea what's ever been put in corrected copies. Yeah, I'm looking at it too.
Okay, yep. All right, do we want to wait until we get the corrected copy or?
Well, I guess I just don't understand.
Well, so this is a question. So Vic, you gave these corrections. Amy, did you have these or did they not get to you?
Let's see. I did forget to look for them because you guys were going to vote on it.
Yeah, I actually had sent these to Amy the afternoon or evening before our last meeting. And so.
Oh, I did see them. Yes, yeah. I definitely do have them. I just hadn't made the corrections yet, waiting for today's approval.
Okay, I guess I would suggest that it is confusing that we really, even though it was one continuous meeting, there was an executive session first where I'm absent, and then, but I'm there. It's just peculiar.
I think if you do file, I mean, you know, minutes are attempting to not say every step along the way, but rather to give a summary of what occurred. If you do look at the officials in attendance, it shows your arrival at 6:04. And if you follow it along, the call to order was at 6. The executive session was voted on at 6:01. And the return to public session was at 7 o'clock. So, you know, add that together. It appears that you arrived in the executive session at 6:04, participated in it until the conclusion of the overall meeting.
I think it's confusing. I don't care.
I agree that it's confusing, and you know, short of having a running narrative of everything that happens, I think that we could either have much longer minutes or we can go with something more conventional as is.
But my point is about not seeing changes made to meeting minutes. I think it's peculiar that we approve them with changes and we have no idea what the changes ever are.
Well, I think that's, let's talk about how we improve that process, right? So they get posted at some point, but do we not fully approve them until they're amended, or?
I don't mind approving them as amended, but then I'd like to see what the amendment actually looks like.
Okay. Well, so maybe we could get those emailed out, right? Amy, if you...
What I can do, so normally what would happen is you guys would give me the amendments, I would make them, I would make out the final draft and send it to Dave, and he would post it to the website. So Dave could send them to you guys after you get the final, and so that you don't have to try to read the whole thing, I can keep them in red, and then before Dave posts them to the, to the website, he can change it all to black font. Black print. If that works.
That sounds like a plan for me.
Bobby, you good with that?
I'm good.
Okay. So is somebody going to make a motion to approve these minutes, or?
I would, but I wasn't there.
Anybody want to make a motion? Do we want to wait until we see these all cleaned up?
Do we have a limit on how long it takes us to do this?
There is a provision in the statute that it's supposed to be done within 30 days or the next meeting thereafter. There's not a lot of consequence for not doing it, especially since you are in consideration of the minutes. I'm not troubled if you want to kick it.
Is that what no one's making a motion? Is that what that means?
I think I'll speak for me. I would like to see them amended, if possible, if not too much of a issue.
It just feels like we get other 400-page documents in our packet to read. This would be a reasonable one to ask for.
Okay. Well,
agreed.
No one's jumping up and down to make a motion, so we're going to move on. So thank you. Thanks, everyone. All right, it's time for public comment. Does anyone want to make public comment here?
I just want to say thank you to Helen and George for showing up so regularly.
I'd second that.
All right, I'll third that. All right, then if there is no comment, then we're looking for a roll call motion to go into executive session to discuss.
If you would like a quick comment, thank you very much, Ann, for your comment. And last night I attended the Village of Buffalo Grove meeting where they discussed the $96 million TIF proposal. Yes, what a conversation. But it was only 3 people or 4 people that were opposed to it that spoke during the public hearing, and none of the trustees had a comment. And I'd like to commend the Village of Long Grove trustees and village president and everybody participating for the open discussions that you have here, because it really is refreshing and we know what's going on. All residents can see what's going on, as opposed to what is going on in Buffalo Grove. I can't tell you because they don't talk. So thank you very much for your openness and willingness to share.
Did you get the feeling they actually studied their material?
They did not, and that was one of the points, that the information, the financial information that was provided was FOIA'd, and no one had questioned it. No one asked for backup data. No one had really went to the trouble to do that, and the person that asked it had been a part of Governor Rauner's governmental body on TIFs, and he said TIFs are not good, as we've discussed often in Long Grove. You know, there's risky business when you talk about a TIF. It's risky, and so it's really disappointing, but that's their world, and I don't want to, you know, that's a challenge for each of the trustees there to work with. I want to say anything negative about them because I don't know what they think right now because they don't talk.
That's the TIF for Chase Plaza, right, George? Chase Plaza, and there was another
Chase Plaza on the west is a part of it, and it goes all the way to the east where the Jewel Shopping Center is.
That's
and
right.
going north.
Yeah.
Yes, and buried in it is $44 million for a new public works building, as well as enhancements or modifications to the village hall and police station. So $44 million for public works, just for that.
That's why they need to sell us some water.
And I do want to comment that the village manager, Dane, was not on the call, but his assistant was. And she did make mention about the importance of selling water to Long Grove as a benefit to their residents. So thank you, Long Grove, for helping us residents of Buffalo Grove with our water. Yes, and I do pay a hefty water bill every quarter. It's over $100. Water and sewer, of course.
George,
go ahead.
Is that your minimum payment, George?
No, that's not. I'd have to send you the breakout, and I'm happy to share it with you. You know, so you can see where the water, the infrastructure sinking fund is for maintenance of the storm sewer system, the sewage system, because you know they recognize that down the road there's going to have to be maintenance performed, so they're budgeting for that already, which is a wise reserve to have. And of course, the 8,000 gallons a month that I use here in my own home, you know, that's in the package too.
Do they include trash in that, or is that separate?
Waste management bills that separately.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry to interrupt, and I know you have.
No, George, we appreciate your comments, and we appreciate you staying in touch with us. Miss you not being on the board with me, so it's good to see you.
Happy and thank you. Okay, I have some suggestions I'll share with you, Bill, later on.
Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, George.
Any other public comment? If not, I would like to make I would like somebody to make a motion to roll call motion to go into executive session.
I move to go into executive session.
Second.
Okay, to discuss threat and litigation, enforcement matters, investment, personnel matters, executive session meeting minutes. So that was moved by Trustee Kritzmeyer and seconded by Trustee O'Connor. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Roll call.
Okay, Trustee Michaud.
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
Trustee Nora.
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer.
Aye.
Trustee Borowski.
Aye.
Is that everyone? We got all ayes?
All ayes.
All right. So then let's see. Do we need to take attendance now, or do we need to move into the breakout rooms, right, Vic?
Right. Once we get in the breakout room, that's when we take the attendance for the executive session.
All right. Let me see if I can master this really quick, and we'll move you all into the breakout room. Manually. Dave, you're there twice. Which one should I use? You're Dave and Dave Ledspike. Do I put both of you in? Do you know, Dave? All right, I'll give it a shot. See you in a second. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. That's eating one of my slots up, though. I hope this works. I have to unmute everyone. I guess you all get muted for some reason.
I unmuted me.
All right, you did. Okay, so so looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So
moved.
Okay, moved by Trustee O'Connor, seconded by Trustee Kritzmeyer. Roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Doesn't she have to give her or call us out
Yeah.
first?
Yeah.
Amy, are you there?
She's there.
Sorry, I was speaking and I still had it on mute.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a trustee O'Connor and a trustee Kritzmeyer in there. How about trustee Michaud?
Aye.
Trustee Nora?
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly?
Aye.
And trustee Borowski?
Aye.
All right.
Blanks filled in.
We're there. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Good night.
Pleasant dreams.